September 13th, 1964, 3:30 p.m. Philip and Mother Veronica. They have arrived. Philip, ask whatever you wish. I am at your disposal. George, my dear friend, on other occasions you spoke to us about levels, heights, and the higher ones. What are the criteria by which spirits are ranked, and what have some done to become more luminous than others? Philip, no one can ever enter a place that has not been earned. Place and light are conquered by each being through his own efforts. The higher realms belong to those who labored during earthly life. We ourselves no longer accumulate light now, but we experience the joy of serving those on earth. It is a joy to become servants to those below us, helping them rise at least a little higher. Human beings worship us, yet we are their servants. If only they knew how deeply loved they are, how much more they would strive for those dwellings whose beauty even we rejoice in. No one will ever be exactly like another. Each spirit possesses something unique, different colors, different realms, different dwellings. All the planets above are in light, and through what we do, through the help we give, our own joy is also prepared. The halo we receive within the divine glory that reigns in places ever more beautiful and welcoming for those who arrive there through their own effort and energy. George, if such a hierarchy exists, then there must also be a summit. Philip, yes, that summit is the Father of all, God himself. Philip, yes. Then Christ too, as the Son of God, stands beneath the Father through obedience to him. Beneath the Father, yet possessing power and light from the Father. George, have you studied Leviticus? Philip, no. I already told you my missions are military in nature. George, then another question. Does a hell of flames truly exist, with devils and tortures? Philip, there exists the hell of conscience. That is the greatest suffering of all, a torment caused not by another being, but by the person himself through his own deeds. The devil, as people imagine him, is merely an invention meant to frighten humanity away from evil. The hell of remorse is far more painful than any earthly fire or torture. It is the valley of lamentation, where those who refuse to know and live in truth grieve and suffer. Yet not only the careless dwell there. There are also those who have become utterly corrupted, beings who no longer feel remorse at all and exist in a kind of madness, spreading hatred, envy, and lies everywhere around them. George, where is this valley of lamentation you speak of? Philip, the whole earth is such a valley. All who die continue their existence here upon earth, preserving both their understanding and their spiritual level. The good remain good. The evil continue their wickedness, or else re-enter physical bodies to torment humanity further with their cruelty. People call this the devil, but they are still human beings who once left earthly bodies. George, listening to other spirits, I concluded that earth exerts different levels of attraction. The worse a spirit becomes, the more strongly earth pulls upon it. Philip, the heavy ones, that is what we call those of dark and burdened color, suffer the bitterest existence. They require no guards preventing them from reaching the higher dwellings. They themselves are incapable of rising. They torment one another continually, and refuse to allow any among them to ascend. No one can save such beings. George, does paradise exist? Philip, there exists the paradise of spiritual perfection. It is the state of love reached through countless good deeds. Paradise does not mean stagnation or inactivity. It means rest within the beauty and harmony of intense and meaningful activity. George, many people think of paradise as something conquered through ascetic performances, fasting, prostrations, poverty. Philip, their striving is beautiful, but they shall conquer that place only when they perform so many good deeds that their spirit itself becomes white with light. Then such a soul is received, guided, remains there for a time, and may even return once more into a body to continue its work upon earth. George, then humanity's true ideal is not winning paradise, but becoming purified through good deeds. Philip, of course, yet people cling to different ideals and act according to them. Whatever ideal one may follow, one thing alone matters: to do good. In truth, paradise simply means perfect goodness. George, then ascetic practices hold only secondary importance. Take fasting, for example. Some ascetics have performed extraordinary feats, believing that by voluntarily enduring hunger, they would receive great rewards beyond. Philip, there is no such thing as fasting food and non-fasting food. Those who fast merely fulfill laws created by men. Because the human body becomes weaker during fasting, the mind may become more attentive to things that draw it away from the teaching of the great teacher. A gluttonous person weakens himself through fasting so he may finally meditate a little. God has no need of fasters. He needs good people. He has no need of alms given for appearances or ritual penances. He does not delight in endless lamentations or tears. God is not a tyrant demanding such things. He is not a tyrant, but he is just. He is merciful, yet under no circumstance does he tolerate wickedness. George, mystical traditions present humanity with the ideal of the unceasing prayer. Philip, very few on earth are truly people of prayer. The reality is that a human being cannot live in a state of perpetual spiritual burning, because true prayer is a burning. A person would consume himself completely, melt away, and accomplish nothing further. All who carry a deep thirst within them know such moments. Everyone passes through them for a time, and afterward continues with his work. George, and what about the other renunciations? The whole domain of mortifications and self-denial. Philip, restrictions exist for the wild and undisciplined, whether men or beasts, so that they may be controlled. Those who truly know measure are free from all restrictions, because by their very nature they already understand balance in all things. George, and concerning the ideal of poverty and owning nothing, what is your opinion? Does God wish man to live in deprivation? Philip, God wishes all people to possess what is necessary for life. Wealth is not a sin when a person uses it well, for himself and for his fellow man. Wealth becomes sinful only when it begins to possess the person. A man may be poor and still extremely greedy. The important thing is not to become enslaved by riches. Human beings should acquire material goods, labor for them, gather them, as though they were going to live forever, and yet remain inwardly free from them, as though they were not truly theirs. George, then civilization and comfort are necessary for a higher spirituality. Philip, naturally, it is only normal that human beings should have conditions favorable to their work and activity. George, I have always considered all the great discoverers and creators in every field of civilization and culture to be saints. Philip, and rightly so. Creative activity produces the greatest energetic yield, the kind that bears light. George, you see, my friend, people read the words, "Sell all that you have, take up your cross, and follow me." And they understood this literally, abandoning everything, wandering in total poverty, cultivating deprivation as a virtue in itself, believing this is how the apostles lived. Philip, humanity has misunderstood many things. Those words refer to abandoning the passion for wealth, leaving behind the excessive desire to accumulate riches, and instead earning, through one's deeds, those dwellings I spoke of earlier today. Everything depends on how each person understands. Yet there is only one true meaning. The apostles were not destitute beggars. All of them possessed what they needed. And if they followed the great teacher, it was not because they had nothing else to do, but because they were overwhelmed by the greatness of his words and his presence. Christ, the great teacher, was poor only in sin, but rich in light. Nothing material was lacking to him. Now I would like us to move to another subject, the holy mysteries, the Eucharist. How do you regard it? Philip, it is reverence for the venerable body of the great teacher, through which man may unite himself to the great teacher. George, can it truly be said to be flesh from this flesh and blood from this blood? Philip, each person receives according to his belief. If he believes it is truly his body, then the union becomes real accordingly. If he believes it is merely bread and wine, then he receives only bread and wine. If you receive me as an apostle, then you unite yourselves to me, and what I experience, you also experience. Everything begins within yourselves. It depends entirely upon your inner attitude. If you despise these things and think contemptuously of his teaching, then you fall. But if you see in them the great teacher himself, then through that attitude you rise, using the forms available to you as supports. If a sinner believes he receives the body of the great teacher, nothing happens immediately. But if afterward he places a limit upon his sins and changes his path, then he receives true benefit. George, then the essential thing is the boundary established by the effort of one's own will. Those who achieve this without external means are already on the right path and can do good even without other forms and rituals. Philip, listen carefully. Human life is like a difficult road one must travel. You carry a heavy burden on your back, and the journey is long. You bring food and drink with you. You nourish yourself. You rest. But suddenly a tunnel appears along your path, and you must pass through it. If you have no light with you, then your food and rest become useless, and you are forced to turn back to find illumination. That is what the symbol you call the body and blood of Christ is like. A light you carry with you, a light you hold on to. I speak here of those who place their hope not in the bread and wine themselves, but in the one whom they represent, the being, the person of the great teacher. George, I want to clarify the importance of the Eucharist. I believe it is not absolute and cannot be absolute. Hundreds of millions of people belonging to countless religions and confessions have never even heard of these mysteries, and yet we cannot say they lack the light you described. Philip, the ray of light I spoke about may also be any good deed performed along life's journey. A deed whose light guides you through darkness. As for the other peoples of the world, each possesses its own path towards spiritual realization, though all aim toward the same goal, the acquisition of as many good deeds as possible for the life beyond. Each person clings to whatever he can, just as a drowning man clings even to the smallest blade of grass in order to save himself. So too humanity struggles through various means, symbols, and forms in order to obtain one ray of light, one place of light in our world, one place of rest and joy. Human beings cling to something. Everything depends upon how they cling and how far they advance through that effort. Your road is long, it is difficult. Many people shall walk upon it after you. Be careful how you guide them. Be careful what you show them. Be careful how you clothe them, not in passing garments, but in those things that endure in our world. Be careful what staffs you place into their hands. George, please answer me honestly, my friend. Does a person commit any sin if he does not attend church or temple, does not bow or perform prostrations, does not follow ascetic or mystical prescriptions, yet studies, creates, performs good deeds, remains generous, just, and honest? Does such a man sin? Does he commit sacrilege simply because he does not participate in the formal religious program of his faith? Philip, my dear friend, not all people are alike. Human beings need many things together. They lean upon beliefs and hopes in order to sustain themselves and advance. Each acts according to his own understanding, George, but people must know clearly what is authentic and what is false, what is unnecessary and what is truly essential. Philip, it will take a long time before anyone can make humanity understand such things. George, those more backward will remain delayed in understanding, others will understand. Many people already live far removed from formal structures. I do not mean evil people, but honest individuals no longer satisfied with the myths and stories of religions. They seek something more. Something that even Christ himself could not speak directly at that time, but only through parables, because humanity first had to discover the sciences before it could truly understand. Let me continue. Christianity still often treats the union of bodies as weakness, quoting Psalm 50, "In sin did my mother conceive me." Tell me plainly, can love itself truly be a sin? Philip, the union of bodies becomes truly sanctifying only when it creates and raises up a luminous beacon from which all those unfulfilled in love may themselves receive light and joy. Such love cannot be called sin. On the contrary, it is elevation. Sinful union is that which seeks only carnal satisfaction, pleasure for its own sake, without mutual completion, strengthening, and building together. Seraphia departed from the body before I did. But after I too departed, she helped me so greatly in my work, that we now merge together while contemplating your joy and the joy of others. And especially when we return to our beautiful palace, we unite while gazing upon one another in love and peace. Ah, if only you could know such unions, George, then only through love can harmony and the highest light be achieved. Philip, yes, George, while the other abstinences and mortifications are far from necessarily benefiting man. Philip, it depends how, when, and for what purpose they are practiced. George, without doubt that is true. Another thing, Christianity often glorifies simplicity, pointing to the apostles as simple fishermen, Uneducated, narrowly spiritual men. Philip. The apostles were not uneducated. Here too humanity has misunderstood things. The apostles were great thinkers. Those who narrow their concerns and interests do so out of laziness. Only a many-sided mind, one that searches deeply into everything, leads toward light and fruitful results. No one can understand the mysteries of life and spirit except the one who has labored greatly, gathering broad and varied knowledge. George, do you not think there existed minds that intentionally directed understanding in another direction, with hidden motives? Philip, why do you ask? George, because a tyrant, in order to dominate and rule others, needs a backward conception to give to his subjects. What could be more useful to a tyrant than subjects who believe in simplicity and poverty, waiting for harmony and justice only in the life beyond? Is this not the most effective way for a tyrant to profit from his subjects without sharing his wealth with them? Philip, those who distorted the teaching of the great teacher belong among those who failed to gain a place in the world of light. That is why they do everything possible to dominate others, to feel them beneath themselves, and to exploit them while keeping them trapped under exactly the mentality you described. At that point, Veronica interrupted. Veronica, please stop the questions. I'm exhausted. George, we thank you, beloved friends, for your kindness. May God reward your service with his blessing. Veronica.